Now it is time. These are my top 10 movies of 2012. I'm just gonna get straight into it because I don't want to waste anyone's time, because I've made people wait for this, so let's just get to it. Number 10, we have WreckIt Ralph. Now, WreckIt Ralph was a movie I was kind of skeptical going into. It just didn't seem like it would have that really emotional factor. It seemed like it was a little bit aimed more towards kids, but I was just blown away by this movie. It was so well done. The voice acting is fantastic. The animation is breathtaking. There are some really funny scenes for adults. There's some great cameos by characters that I know, and I can't wait to see the sequel to this. I really hope they expand on this universe very well. Number 9, we have 21 Jump Street, and this movie for a long time was my favorite comedy of 2012. Then came another movie on this list, but we'll get to that later. But this movie was just so funny. It came out of nowhere and surprised a lot of people. Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum together were just such a great team. They had great chemistry together. There was a lot of funny writing in this movie. It was semi-self-aware, which I thought was fantastic. Ice Cube was hilarious in the movie. If you haven't seen this movie, I definitely suggest you go see it if you want a good laugh. It's just such a fun time. Number 8, we're getting serious now. We got The Grey. Now, this movie was forgotten by a lot of people, but I just had to include it on this list just because of Liam Neeson's performance. He just completely makes the movie, and I'm sad that he's not going to get nominated for this role, because he absolutely should. His character is just so interesting, and he has layers. Oh god, 7 Psychopaths. Nevertheless, The Grey is a very enthralling movie. I really got attached to Liam Neeson's character, and the ending is really powerful. I just loved it. Number 7, we have a movie that I just reviewed, and this is the movie I waited to release this video for, Zero Dark 30. Now, I originally thought this movie would be higher on my list, but nevertheless, here it is at number 7. Again, Zero Dark 30 is just such a well-made movie. It chronicles the Osama bin Laden search so well, and it's really emotionally impactful near the end. Definitely check this movie out when it's in wide release. It's just so good. Number 6, we have a movie that not many people knew about to begin with, and that's The Hunter starring Willem Dafoe. And you could go see my review of that if you want to figure out what that movie's about, because I don't really want to go into that right now because it would take too long. It's kind of complicated. This movie to me was just such a surprise because I heard about it and it was on Amazon, so I just rented it and I watched it, and it was just so different and interesting, and it has the best cinematography I've seen all year. I watched it again. It's mind-blowing how good of shots they got in this movie. And Willem Dafoe's performance is fantastic as well. His character is someone I really rooted for. And again, this movie is emotionally impactful at the end. It's just so good. I highly suggest you go see this movie because I'm not sure if many people have seen it, so definitely go see The Hunter. Number 5, now we're on the top 5, we got Dredd. Dredd was a movie that I was just completely and utterly hyped out of my mind for when no one else really was, and somehow it lived up to my expectations. It was just such a fun, gory, comic booky ride. It's just, Carl Urban as Dredd was such a fantastic character, one of the most memorable characters I've seen all year. I can't wait till this movie comes out on Blu-ray this week so I can watch it again in all of its Blu-ray glory. If you haven't seen Dredd, definitely go check it out. Number 4, we have Looper, and I think this movie is one of the best sci-fi movies to come out since District 9. Actually, the best sci-fi movie to come out since District 9. Yes, over Inception, for anyone who's wondering. Rian Johnson has made a perfect movie in my opinion, and this is his first perfect movie. It's just such a well-made movie. It has original elements to it. It's not completely original by any means, but there are just some elements that it added to it that just made it so interesting to me. And Bruce Willis is finally acting again, so that's cool to see, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is of course fantastic. I just love the concept of the movie. I love the visual style it had, the writing, especially between old Joe and young Joe. Their banter is amazing, and the parts with Emily Blunt and her son is just great too. It's a lot slower than what the movie originally led on to be, but I honestly loved it. I loved the change in the scenery and them just staying at her house. I've said far too much about Looper's plot by now, so just, if you haven't seen Looper, which I seriously doubt anyone hasn't at this point, just go see it. Now we're down to the top 3. 7 Psychopaths is the best comedy I've seen in 2012, and again, Martin McDonagh is now one of my favorite directors. In Bruges was fantastic, and this was just as good, if not better. It was just so funny and well written. The main thing about this movie is the writing. The amount of times I was just crying laughing in this movie was just so off the charts. It was just so fun. All the acting in the movie is great, especially for a comedy. It's just so well done. Sam Rockwell definitely steals the scenes he's in. Colin Farrell is a good anchor of a lead, and Christopher Walken's really cool in his scenes. Now we're down to the top 2. Now, this might surprise some people based on what I had said in November, but number 2 is Skyfall. Now, I did say this movie was my favorite movie of the year when it first came out. However, I went back and rewatched my now number 1, and, you know, just nothing beats it for me this year. I'll get into that in a second. Skyfall is one of the best Bond movies I've ever seen. It's so close to Casino Royale, it's just not quite there. Daniel Craig is, of course, amazing as James Bond, and the cinematography in this movie, it rivals The Hunter. It's just, again, not quite there. And the action in the movie is amazing. Javier Bardem is such a cool villain. Everything about this movie I completely loved, and I can't wait for the next James Bond movie. Now, number 1, this should really not come as a surprise to anyone at this point, because, you know, when the movie first came out, I was kind of, overzealous when reviewing it, I would say. If you weren't excited for this movie, you have no soul. But The Avengers is my favorite movie of this year by far. It's just so much fun to watch, and that's what I based this off of, how much fun I had watching these movies, and of course how well made they are. That factors in as well. And this movie is technically sound all across the board. The writing in the movie, there's witty banter between the characters. There's not a point in the movie where I found it to be dragging. It was just perfect all the way through. The action, of course. So you talk about the Avengers, it's the action. That final scene in New York is still one of the best action scenes I've seen in years. It's so amazing to watch. And the CGI in that scene is damn near perfect. There are a few maybe iffy shots, but other than that, it's amazing. Joss Whedon was the perfect choice for this. I can't wait to see him direct Avengers 2, especially with the characters they're going to be actually, never mind. Ant-Man won't be till Phase 3, so never mind. Damn you, Marvel Studios. Whatever, I'll get past that, and The Avengers is my favorite movie of this year. I want to know what your favorite movie of this year is. Please tell me, and give me a little bit of reasoning why. Write your beautiful comments down there and tell me what you think. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button down there, because if you don't, Texas Chainsaw will be on my best list for 2013.